Okay, so I am finally making my 1920s dress. I have this pattern. I will show it better when we get to the table. It's a size 18, it's a bust 36, hips 39. It's a tracing of an original pattern, so I have the original instructions and I have just the pattern pieces for this size since it's from an original pattern. There are 4 pieces. I think it'll be pretty simple, mostly because I have a lot of sewing experience, but the instructions are literally 5 steps, so we'll see. I am planning to make it out of this lovely fabric I found at the Walmart a while ago that's been sitting on my shelf for something fun. I should have opened it before this. But I have 4 yards of this very fun, like, black and gray swooping pattern. And then I have this navy blue cotton for either a shift or lining. I'm hoping I can do it as a lining, but I'm not 100% positive just because I don't know, like, this side dip up. I don't know where that's gonna hit on my body. I'm hoping it's low enough that I can get away with doing a lining and leaving the skirt just the swoopy fabric, but we shall see. So let's dive into these patterns and then we will get cutting and sewing. Okay, so you can get a better view of the dress. We're just doing the dress, not the jacket. So I only need patterns C, D, E, and F to make this. All of these pieces are cut on the fold, so thank goodness I have enough fabric for that. And then it's really hard to read or see here, but those are all the instructions to make this. It is 5 steps. It doesn't make a crazy amount of sense, but I think that is just a case of terminology being different, or like some terms that I'm not familiar with. But from what I can gather, you have dart on the front, you attach them at the sides, then you attach them at the shoulders, you attach the front and backs together, and then you fold over the swoop of the top and you sew it on top of the swoop of the skirt. And then you hem everything. So they say for you to finish the neck and sleeves with binding, and then the skirt is just a thin hem. I am going to attempt to hem the skirt with my rolled hem foot. I'm a little worried because I haven't gotten really good at doing the rolled hem on curves, so I'm gonna have to practice that. Also, I really want to do binding, so this is why I'm hoping the front and back pieces, that like point, will come down far enough that I feel comfortable worrying about it, that it covers everything, because then I can just encase the neck and shoulder, like the sleeve area, in like the lining. I can just sew them and flip it, and it would be better because I don't really want to do binding. But I don't really know how else I would finish this fabric because it is really sheer and really flimsy, and I don't want to attempt to do rolled hems on such steep curves. Like the hem, I think, of the skirt, I think I could do, but I don't feel any confidence about the neck and shoulders. So I have my pattern pieces. They're right there, and we're gonna get to cutting everything. so I have the, pardon me, I have the body pin, or the sides sewn and the shoulders pinned to get an idea of length. I actually think the length of this is good, and I'm not really worried about leaving the skirt unlined and only lining the top. So what I'm gonna do is cut out the top pieces in that cotton, and then I can get that attached to the shoulders and get that attached where it encases the neck and side. It's hard to tell, but it's kind of low. I don't think it'll be much of a problem. It is shifting. I don't know if that's because of how it was cut or just how it's interacting with the slip I'm wearing right now. But we're gonna go ahead and line the top. The skirt will just be this like polyester chiffon silky thing. And yeah, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have the top done with the layer, the lining layer under, and you know how I said I wasn't gonna do binding? I lied. Basically I put it together and then realized that I couldn't flip it and get both of these edges encased the way I had put it together, and because I did French seams, I didn't want to undo it. So binding. Thankfully, I had this single fold black bias tape in my stash, so I didn't have to buy anything new or attempt to make binding out of what I had, which is better. And you know, I think it looks nice, so we're gonna go with it. My next step is going to be stitching the edges here closed, and then I'm going to switch to the skirt. I have to do a French seam on the back pieces because I didn't have enough to cut that on the fold, and I decided the front one needed to be cut on the fold more than the back one. So I'm going to bring those together, attach the skirts, and then it wants you to fold this front edge over and then sew it on top of the skirt pieces, and I'm not positive if that's the best way to go with this fabric, so we'll see. I'm gonna see if I can do it like a normal seam, but if they don't match up well for that, I might have to like bind the edge and then sew it down or something. We'll see. And then I still have to deal with the hem, which I'm hoping I can do in rolled hem, but it's on a curve and I don't know how well that's gonna go. So maybe I will hand do the hem. We'll see. So, all right, well, let's stitch that together and start working on the skirt. Okay, so all that is left is the final bottom hem. I was able to get this on with a regular seam. I did a French seam again for this because this overlay fabric is really prone to fraying, and I wanted to make sure the seams were very sturdy and fully finished. It did shift a little in the cutting, so the top is not 100% symmetrical, but you can't really tell with this wavy fabric, and I don't hate it. I do think I'm going to tack down the seam allowance inside just to get it as flush as possible. And then for the hem, I thought about doing a rolled hem. I just don't know that that's going to work really well with the curve of this fabric. So I think I'm gonna do a bias bound hem. I really like how this binding turned out on the top, which you can see here, pardon my giant weird microphone. And I think it might actually give some sturdiness to the hem where I can get more of a wave. So I'm going to check and see that I have enough bias binding for that, and then we're gonna go do that. And once that's done, this is finished. Yay! I actually am really pleased with how it's coming along, how flattering it looks on my body type, and I kind of want to wear a witch hat with it. So that's probably going to happen as we move into spooky season. So let's do the hem and finish this baby up.